Shalom, it's Tehila from the Kefar. Welcome back to my channel. This is the place to be to learn Hebrew online, and you can visit thekefar.com/Hebrew to learn more. So one of my viewers asked me about Sofit letters in Hebrew, so this video is for you. And Sofit letters in Hebrew are Otiot Sofiot, and Otiot Sofiot are final letters, Otiot meaning letters, and Sofiot final. And we have 5 of them in Hebrew. And these letters are also called Otiot Mansapach. And Mansapach is an acronym that's made up of those 5 letters that have the final form. So Mem, Nun, Tzadi, Pei, and Kaf. Mansapach, Otiot Mansapach. And so here we have these same 5 letters, but this time just in Aleph Bet order. So Kaf, Mem, Nun, Tzadi, and Pei. And when we talk about a Sofit letter or the final letter, the final form, we're talking about the way in which we write these 5 letters when they are the last letter in a word. So if a word ends in any of these 5 letters, Kaf, Mem, Nun, Tzadi, Pei, we write the letter differently, okay? We use its final form, the Sofit letter. It has the same sound and it's essentially the same letter, it's just written differently. Like if you think about in English, we have lowercase letters and capital letters. Capital A looks differently than lowercase a, but they're both A's. They make the same sounds, you just use them differently, right? If I'm writing the name Amanda, the first A, I'll use a capital A, but the final A and the A in the middle, I'll use a lowercase a. So it's a similar concept, but instead of every letter having a final form in Hebrew, we just have final forms for 5 of the letters. So a kaf, if it's in the beginning or the middle of a word, and this goes for both kaf and chaf, if it's in the beginning or middle of a word, it'll look like this. If it's the last letter of a word, it will look like this, like we see in the word mansapach, and here we see the chaf sofit. Okay, so kaf, chaf in the beginning or middle of a word, and chaf sofit if it's the last letter of a word. So mem, if it's in the beginning or the middle of a word, looks like this. Mem sofit, if it's the last letter, will look like this. So nun at the beginning or middle of words looks like this. If it's written as the last letter of a word, it'll look like this. Tzadi in the beginning or middle of words looks like this. Tzadi at the end of a word as the last letter looks like this. And then we have pei or fei in the beginning or middle of a word will look like this. And as the last letter, it will look like this, okay? So here we have kaf or chaf sofit, mem sofit, nun sofit, tzadi sofit, and pei or fei sofit. As Sofit letters, this will always make the f sound, as in the English letter F. And as a Sofit letter, this will always make the ch sound, okay? Like chaf, as opposed to the hard K sound of kaf. And so you might notice with most of the Sofit letters, with the extension of mem, they're essentially an extended form of the regular letters. So here we have kaf, and if you were to take this bottom line down and straighten it out, you get a chaf Sofit. Here we have the nun. Again, if we take this bottom portion out and straighten it out, we get a nun sofit. Tzadi, again, take this bottom line, straighten it out, and we get a tzadi sofit. And same thing with our pei, our fei. If we take this bottom portion and straighten it out, we get our fei. For the mem sofit, it's more so of a closure. We're closing that gap. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at some words that use both the regular and the Sofit letters side by side. Before we get into that, I want to remind you about my free Aleph Bet Bootcamp. It's a video course that teaches you the letters and sounds and spelling conventions in an interactive way. And I've included the direct link in the video description below. Alrighty, so I picked some words that have both the regular and the Sofit letters so you can see them side by side. So the Hebrew word for sandwich is karich. As you can see, it starts with the kaf, ends with the chaf sofit. And then we have water, which is maim. And maim, you can hear it starts and ends with the same sound, but the mem at the beginning is written differently from our final mem. And then we have the letter nun, and you can hear the same beginning and end sounds, but we write the initial nun differently than our final nun, our nun sofit. Our flower pot is an atzitz, and here we see a tzadi in the middle of the word, regular tzadi, but our final tzadi is written with the tzadi sofit. And then our stool is shrafraf, and here we have a fe in the middle of a word, it's just a regular fe, and then our final form, shrafraf. Okay, same sound, but it's written differently. Okay, so to recap, if our otiot sofiot or our otiot mansapach, if the mem, nun, tzadi, pe, or kaf appear in the beginning or in the middle of the words, we use their regular forms. We only use the sofit letter if it is the final or the last letter of a word, like you see in these examples. Okay, so that is all for today. Toda latzfia. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to check out the Aleph Bet Bootcamp and share it with anyone you know who's starting out in Hebrew. Litraot.